You're listening to the WB Download, coming to you from Wheeland Builders Showroom in Studio 1C. We are a podcast centered around building custom homes, the customer experience of building a custom home, and a really entertaining listen from many great guests and interviews that may or may not have anything to do with building. I'm excited to share with you their voice and their stories that will enhance your idea of the custom builder world. All right. Well, hello again, everybody. This is Jeff Wheeland with Wheeland Builders, coming to you from Studio 1C here in Wheeland Builders headquarters in Westchester, Ohio. Welcome to the WB Download. Thanks for listening to us. We have a show today that I'm going to do that's going to be a little different than all the other shows. I'm just going to go back and recap exactly what we've done all year long. So first, let me say this. Today is Tuesday, December 26th. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope that your Christmas was awesome. I hope that all of your holidays leading up to it were awesome. I pre-recorded this obviously because I wanted to spend some time with my family, and I'm probably actually out on a job site right now. So because we have a lot of things going on. But Merry Christmas, and I hope the hustle and bustle has left you fat and happy and sitting at home trying to chill right now and relax and catch up and spend some needed time with your family. Thank you, everybody, for listening all year long. Thank you for everybody who was on the show all year long. It was so great. So a couple things. It's what's happening right now in the WB Download world, in my world. And I tell you, I give you an update on Homerama. We last time we talked, I told you we were setting trusses and how long that takes us. So we just had got dried in. So we've got starting to put the shingles on last Friday, and we are moving into the mechanical stage. We use a product called EnviroDry, which is a liquid applied air barrier that goes on the outside of the house, which takes up a lot more time and weather permitting and a lot of different things to install that on that house. So we're working through that right now as we speak. To get that on there. And then, like I said, we're moving into mechanics and windows and a lot of different things. We're rolling it on. And it's a big old house, man. We get it up in the air, and it's just, I should know these things by now, but you look at it and it's a big old house. So we're excited about it. It's moving along good. The homeowners are excited about it. We're still working on a name. I haven't come up with that yet. We're still working on all the names that we're not going to use. So other things that happen around here, we're setting up for our 2024 podcast. We've been working on sponsorships. We've been working on sponsorship money, what it's going to take to keep this thing going, and our guest for the year, and the topics that we're going to talk about for the year, and all these different cool things that we're trying to do to get this podcast to grow. Consistency is one of them, and we consistently had our podcast every 2 weeks here throughout the year. We had 15 guests on the show, which was really cool. And I'm going to talk about every single one of them in a minute. We also went back. I took you from how to find a lot, how to find a custom builder, and I took you all the way through all the phases of construction and talked about the different details that we look for as a custom builder and the things that you could pay attention to when you are building a home. We talked about the hottest things that are happening in the home building industry, the hottest thing that we look for as people are looking for as far as building a house. And we covered a lot of different details. So a couple cool things that happened here in the last couple of weeks, besides Christmas, and besides our Christmas Eve at church and all the cool things that we do, which I should say that, one of the things we do at our church is called Eve. So 2 nights before Christmas, we do our Christmas Eve service at church. We do 2 of them, one at 5 o'clock and one at 7 o'clock. And we do this because so everybody can spend time with their families over the holidays. And then the following week, the only service that we have is online, so people don't have to come to church at the same time. But we're still getting our fix, and I didn't have anything to do with planning this. Our awesome church does this, so I think that's really cool to say. I think it's something to think about, and we enjoy it. And our Christmas Eve service at church is one of the greatest nights of the year. It's really, really cool, the things that they put in the extra effort for all of us. Another cool thing that happened is, and I'm proud to say, that I was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award, Honorary Lifetime Member Award at the Home Builders Association of Greater Cincinnati. And this is really important to me because there's not very many people who have this award, but the people who do are distinguished, and it's pretty cool to be in a category with them. I had a lot of people. It was a surprise, so I had a lot of people that were there that I wasn't expecting to be there for the night that I got the award, and I also think it's crazy because I'm 49 years old, and they gave me what I consider a lifetime achievement award. And so, but I put my time in, you've heard me say a million times on this show here that I've started working for the Home Builders Association. It was my first job when I was in the 6th grade in 1986 at Calumet Farms here in Southwest Ohio. And my brother had already been working at the show, but we were taking the show down, breaking it down after the show was over. And then from then on, me and my buddies, we kind of set it up and tore it apart from years after, all the way up through high school. And we did everything from parking cars and setting the show up and just working during the show. And then I left and went away to school, and then I came back, and then that's when my adult career got started with the Home Builders Association. So I'm honored. I want to say thank you to everybody who voted for me, who helped me, and who was there for me for that thing. So it's pretty cool. So let's talk about let's get into on the farm. There's nothing happening on the farm. It's cold. We're putting out hay. And, we're getting ready to start calving here. We got one cow that's due in January. She's supposed to be due in January. She's not looking like much right now. So she might just be bred to the bull and she's coming later on. But we got a lot of things that are just kind of sitting and waiting, which is sometimes it's nice. Basketball, we haven't started back yet into the fall season, so we are 5-1 right now, and the kids are killing it. And I think they're going to be glad to move on to the 7th grade and not have me coach them anymore because they think that I am intense, which is just cuckoo, but might be true. Anyway, that's what's happened. Let's talk about this year in review. Let's talk about what went on with the WB download. First of all, this idea to start this podcast, we were sitting in a room and we still do blogs, but we were doing a blog, and basically I have to write it, and then I have to give it away to somebody who knows how to write a blog, and then they rewrite it. And I'm sitting there thinking, why don't we just do a podcast? And I love Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s podcast, the Dale Jr. Download. And I've listened to those guys come on there, tell stories, racing stories, and all kinds of things, and he gets a little deep with them. And I thought we could do that here. We could use this podcast to promote Wheeling Builders, but we could also use this podcast to give people a voice and hear their story and learn more about them. And I like to talk, so if you put a microphone in front of me, I'm never going to shut up. And so this is a good gig for me. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. And sometimes it's time that I don't have, but I enjoy it so much. And I've enjoyed this last year, specifically learning about these people. So the first interview that we did was with my dad, of course, and my dad is the champion of Wheeling Builders. Both of his dad and my mom's dad were all builders at one time. They were all building together at one time, and we learned this in this podcast, which was really cool. I couldn't have asked for a better guest coming out of the gate like this. He's a book of history for the building business, for our company, and for our family. In the days to follow that episode, I heard from so many people that have known him and known us and have talked about things that they'd never heard from him before. Even his sisters commented on things that they didn't know about their dad and about my dad, which was odd. I just figured that they knew, and that was really cool. Probably the most profound comment that I heard from a stranger that got a hold of me one time and said, "You're lucky you got to do this, to record this with him. One day he'll be gone and you will be grateful to have this." And that hit me pretty hard. 100% right. I will have this forever. Now, for him, his voice, to tell this story and to learn so much about him and his life. And my kids can listen to it, and their kids can listen to it, and my brothers and kids and everybody, all these people can listen to this and know who Papaw Jack was. So, I'm just super grateful to come out of the gate with him. And then my next guest was Preacher Ben from Four Corners Church. And I'm still beside myself that Pastor Ben came on the show with me. He's got so many things to do and take time out to come over here, but I obviously love to hear him talk. I take in what he says a lot. So this was more of a relaxed conversation, learning more about the business of running a church rather than what I learned from him on other days, including Sundays. And then again, I'm looking at this thinking, man, I'll have this conversation for the rest of my life. And it also felt like he and I just kept growing after this, and we kept getting closer after this, and which was expected. But I just felt like this was a tool that really brought us closer. So I'm grateful for Pastor Ben coming over here and doing it, and hopefully we'll have him back this year, and maybe have Pastor Will on the show this year. I hope that would be cool. After Pastor Ben was a lady named Amy Webb from Butler Tech Vocational School here in Southwest Ohio. And Amy is an educator. Amy is one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. And she works at Butler Tech. And she, vocational school, vocational education, vocational agriculture, all these things are things that are important to me because I'm a result of vocational agriculture. I went to a technical school, agricultural technical school for college, and it's surrounded by a lot of people who are in this vocational program. And so I really think really good things can come out of it. I also think that college is not for everybody, and college is now becoming more of a business instead of an educational facility. And when you have that stuff and it gets so expensive, you can choose to go to a vocational school. You can go out and be a plumber. You can go out and be a welder. You can go out and be an engineer and do these things coming right out of school and right out of high school or during high school while you're in high school and go to work right after that. So that was cool to have her on here and to talk about Butler Tech. But the coolest thing is that you get to learn more about who she is and the type of person she is and the things that she does for not just the educational community, but her community in general. And she's inspiring. And man, I was just so proud to have her on here. So Amy Webb from Butler Tech Vocational School here in Southwest Ohio. The next guest we had, and it was Kelly Wynn, and Kelly is what we call an outside designer. She's an interior designer, interior decorator, but for us, she's an outside designer because she's a third party. She comes in, and we have Robin Hauser here on our team, and Kelly has her own business, and like I said, she's best known as a decorator, if you will, but. What we found in our business is that our customers need more when deciding its selections. And as well, Robin needs more help because she's got so many things going on, so many details that she's capturing and organizing them and putting them together that it helps to have another person come along and help her. But Robin does an awesome job. She's our on-staff designer. And so Kelly comes and helps her. So Kelly came to us in 2021 when we had a Homerama house that we were working on, and the decorator that we had working on that job quit. And thank God she quit because for a lot of reasons, but one is that it opened the door for Kelly to come in and work and for us to work together. And again, just like I said about Amy, and Kelly and her mom work together. And I'll say this about Kelly and Kelly and her mom are just two people that are what we call salt of the earth, and they're just kind and so nice, and they're empathetic, and they're great at what they do. And to have those people working with us is just amazing. And it's just like, when you get time when you're coming down to the end of these houses and you get frazzled and there's a lot of stuff going on and things can hit the fan. Calm, cool, collected, nice, easygoing. How can we work this out? How can we make it straight? How can we do this? It's just amazing. So you're going to have a hard time finding better souls than the people that they work with or that we work with. So the next guest we had was Isaac Severs, the superintendent of Lebanon City Schools here in Southwest Ohio, which is the school that we are part of and my kids go to. And Isaac was kind of new to Lebanon, and I got to be friends with him because his son played on a baseball team, and also that we were on, and also that he coached youth basketball, same grade because his son's in the same grade as Cody, and we coached against each other. We practiced around each other a couple different times, and just a great guy, just like Amy, just like Kelly, just like my dad, just like Pastor Ben, just like the people we have on this show. When you start talking to this cat, he is just, his soul glows. And I don't know if anybody ever said that about him, but I hope he hears that and laughs. But he's just deep and he's smart and he's just so smooth and calm. And I look at him and all the time because I think about how much criticism he can take and does take, how much of a beating he takes over different decisions that get made. He's in the public eye, he's in the public school system, and man, he does a great job. And there's always somebody who's upset. So, and not just to mention that, it's all the things that he has going on, all the things that he manages, all the things he has to look for. So we talked a lot about the business of running a school, which, just like Pastor Ben, the business of running a church was what we talked about a lot with Pastor Ben. But we talked about the business of running a school, and we talked about a lot of different things. But one of the things that happened there was I learned more about him from the lightning round that his wife, Emily, had given me questions to ask him. And I learned more about him through that than I did anything. So since this interview, he and I have become closer. We've become friends even more. And just, man, he's a pastor too. So that makes everything even cooler. I'm intrigued by his personality, his demeanor, his attitude, everything that happens. And so I really enjoy this relationship with Isaac, and it was great to have him on here. Our next guest was Laura Brand from the Greater Cincinnati Home Builders Association. And Laura is the executive officer over there. And I've been, like I said, I've been involved in the HBA most of my life, literally all my life. And Laura, I'm looking at a different sheet. Laura is, she was fairly new at the gig. And we were approaching Homerama as we were doing that interview. And so we talked a lot about Homerama. We talked a lot about the operations of the Home Builders Association and what they do and what their purpose is, and just got to know her more, because I didn't know a lot about her. I was on the hiring committee, but I still didn't get to really know her as much as I did during this interview. So it was really great to have her on here, and enjoyed it. The next one we did was Cody and Raina, my two kids. Cody is 12 years old, and Raina is 9. She's at this point she's 9.5, almost 10 years old. And they wanted to interview me for Father's Day, so they had a list of questions that they wanted to ask, and we sat down, and I just, it's funny and it's fun, but more so when I'm sitting in a chair just watching this whole thing come together. It's a place that all of a sudden you feel like it's an out of body experience, because I'm looking at this going, I can't believe that I have 2 kids. I can't believe that I have the privilege of having these 2 kids. And I can't believe how much fun we always have. We get each other, and it's a trip. And I just enjoyed it so much. My heart grows, and I fall in love every single day that I get to see these 2. So it's really cool. What most people don't know about that podcast was we had to do multiple recordings of it, because we weren't always in agreement with how things were going on there. And so we got it laid down, and just, man, again, one of those episodes that they will have for the rest of our lives. So the next guest was a really good friend of ours, and her name is Jen Barsanis. And Jen, while she works on her regular job as an HR specialist, she also started a company called Boxful, which is such a great company and thoughtful and an empathetic idea. When you want to share a hug with someone from far away, or just surprise them with some thoughtfulness, you send them a Boxful. And Boxful it's a bear inside of a box. And when you open the box up, the bear opens its arms up, and it's got a special note in there. And it just, man, it's touching to hear her story. I hope that everybody can go back and listen to this episode, because if you want to know what your heart should look like, and if you want to know what kindness would look like, Jen Barsanis is the example that you should run on. She is just an awesome person, an amazing person. And I knew this already. I mean, she's a friend of ours, but we dug a little bit deep with her, and I started getting a little choked up a bit, because she is such an amazing person. She comes into people's lives when they need something special to happen, and she brightens their day, and she's just cool. So that was Jen Barsanis. Our next guest our next interview was Mr. Mark Evans. Now, we built Mr. Mark Evans and Susie Evans' house here in Southwest Ohio, and we built Susie's twin brother's house right next door to them several years ago, and they were such nice people. But Mark and Susie are also just salt of the earth, golden, nice people. And this is my first homeowner that I was able to have on the podcast. So it meant a lot to me. It meant a lot to me, and we could talk honestly and open about everything. And I told him that in the beginning. I said, man, if there was something you didn't like, or you were still heartburn about something, just let's talk about it, because people need to know that stuff. Nobody wants to come on here and listen to a podcast where I'm just going to be all just talking about great stuff all the time and yada, yada, yada. There's never any problems. We got to lay it down. And you got to hear what the truth is. That's what the point of this thing is. But Mark, he was honest. It was a good, honest conversation. And he's an attorney, and they have an office in downtown Lebanon, and our little town up there, which is one of the greatest towns ever, has so many different events that they do in the town, and they'll shut the streets down, and they do what they call a third Friday, and they do car shows. And of course, one of the things we're known for more than anything is the Christmas horse parade. But we were at third Friday one night, and we're walking down the road, and we see Mark and Susie standing outside. Well, he has an office in there, and I'm like, holy cow, there's Mark. And so he invites us in, and me and the kids and Shannon, we go in there, we're hanging out, we're eating, we're talking, we're just mingling, and just the type of people they are. Come on in here, take some food, take this, and just super nice. I can't say enough about them, and we're fortunate to have built with these people. I'm fortunate to have Mark come on here and have a great conversation with them, and we still continue to have that relationship to this day. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of them. And I want to say thank you to them too. Our next guest was no other than Mr. Nathan Madden. Nathan is, we use Pella Windows, and Pella Windows is one of our partner companies here, to say the least. They're great windows. No doubt, hopefully everybody's heard of Pella. They're great windows, but one of the main things about Pella here in Cincinnati is the people who work there. So Jim Fry, the guy that owns the place, the franchise here in Cincinnati, is a good friend of mine. Served on the Home Builders Association board with him for a lot of years. Nathan is I think he's the regional manager, but he's a sales manager, and he's kind of a catch-all, man. He takes care of so much stuff over there and does a great job. Brett Howard is our salesperson, and I met Brett years ago when I had a different salesperson. I flew to Pella, Iowa with Brett to go out and tour the factory, and just talking to this cat, man, he knows everything about Pella windows, which is what you need. And I want these gurus like this. But Nathan and I have been friends. Nathan's wife and I have been friends for years. She was involved in the Home Builders. She was also worked for a stair company that we use. And Nathan, of course, has been with Pella for a long time. I was grateful to get to come on here and talk about windows, to promote Pella, talk about what we do at Pella. But I also was grateful to be able to catch up with him and learn more about him. And I learned so much more about this dude. I've known him for a long time, and I learned more about him and got to catch up, so that was really cool. And I'm grateful that he was on here. So that was Nathan Madden with Pella Windows. And then our next guest was none other than the Tommy Brand. Tommy owns a company called Phantom Sound here, and we use what we call our low voltage, which is speakers, data feeds, internet, TVs, etc. And Tommy is the go-to guy for modern technology, and he makes all the cool stuff happen. Tommy is Laura Brand's husband. Laura is the executive officer of the Home Builders Association. Tommy owns Phantom Sound, and they when you get to go to events and you hang out with them and get to talking to them. Good people. And I really appreciate the relationship that Tommy and I have. So my next guest needs no introduction. My next guest was Adam Weber with AE Door and Window Company. Adam is the owner of AE Door Window Company. It's a family business. And Adam, his dad, Bill Weber, started that company, and Adam took it over and has grown it to new heights. Adam and I have a good understanding of what the stresses are of running a business and holding certain things on your shoulders and having to take care of a lot of different things and taking care of your family. that extends beyond your kids and your wife, and also taking care of that legacy. It's super important. And Adam and I have these conversations a lot. They do our garage doors and our garage door openers. They also do our automatic screens, and they do a couple of other things with us. And it's just a great relationship that we've had with them for a long time. But Adam and I became friends a while ago. I can't remember how many years ago it was, a while ago. And so we get to spend a lot of time together, not as much as we want, but a lot of time together. And you know, I was just grateful to have him on here, and I appreciate his support, and we support each other and listen to each other complain about different things that happens in this business. So Adam Weber with AE Door. And then our next guest was Mr. Gary Sullivan. Gary's just a great friend, and Gary is also our first celebrity that we had on here on the show. So I enjoyed this episode because for the past 24 years, Gary has interviewed me. Gary was working for different TV shows. He was working for the radio. He has his own shows, of course, on the radio, and we've always talked about building and things that are happening. And man, I learned so much about him that I had no idea, the things that he was telling us. But the biggest takeaway that I had that Gary told us on the show that day was, in my life, in our lives, and he said, you could say this just about anybody, is that there has always been someone in your life that has believed in you more than you believed in yourself. And that is so true. And I said it in that episode, and I'll say it again. I can name a ton of people who did that for me, who I felt like, and as I got older, I felt like they tolerated me, but because I was probably a pain in the butt and still am, but they also believed in me, which was huge. And then I think about my team that's here, and I think about my customers, and they believe in me. So this statement just carries with me, and I'm like, man, this is so humbling to hear this, and it's so cool to understand it. And then when he kept saying it just kind of happened, you know, it just sort of happened. Everything that he was doing, how'd you get here? How'd you get here? And he goes, it just sort of happened. It just sort of happened. Everything kind of fell into place, and it's cool to hear that from him. So I enjoyed learning more about Gary on the show, and I was honored. I was really honored to have him on here because that was pretty neat. And then my next guest was Dan DeStefano. So my man Dan. Dan is DeStefano Brothers Builders and Remodelers, and they also own a company called Westchester Hardwood. And Dan is just super smart dude. Him and his brother and his dad, and they've always been hard at it. They've always built a great house. They've always done a number of different things. But he and I got to be friends through the Home Builders Association, met at Home Rama, and we were close in age. And while everybody else was 100 years older than we were, and which was which drew us to each other. You know, one of the things that we always say, me and my buddies always say, is we wish we could come on here and tell the real stories. You know, start drinking and tossing back and telling what really went on. But we would incriminate ourselves for sure, and we would all probably not be in a very good space with a lot of people if we did that. But you know, I hope that everyone has a friend like Dan and a friendship like Dan and I have. You know, we open up with each other. We don't judge. We share so much. We help each other. We pick each other up, and we support each other. And a lot of guy stuff, guy friendships, they don't allow for a relationship like this. And I'm grateful for Dan. You know, and not that we're soft all the time, but we toss back some real information and some real communication there. And he's been super helpful with me. And I'm just grateful that he came on the show. I was excited to have him on here and again, give him a voice and let people see what a great soul he is. And then my last guest of the year was Brad Levitt. Brad is from AFT Construction in Phoenix, Arizona, and clearly, like I made it known on the podcast, was I've never met Brad in person. He and I were connected by Dan Geis, and I just had to say Dan's name because if I don't, it would be like the first episode all year that I haven't mentioned Dan's name. But Dan hooked us up, and I just want to say I'm in awe of Brad. just in all of him. He's hardworking, nose to the grindstone, dedicated guy who just seems to have it all together. He's on the move and hustling all the time, and he's got his podcast just kicking it. He's got his all of his businesses kicking it, and then you hear him say, "Yeah, and I'm in this basketball league on this night, and I golf on this night, and I do this on this night." And I can tell you that's not that's not just a play around something or another, like he's running around. He's doing some good work for himself. He's doing some good work for other people. He's putting his company out there, and he's working on that stuff all the time. He builds all kinds of huge projects for a lot of really cool people. But that podcast that he has is something that's really popular and it's really taken off, and most of it's because of him and the people he interviews. So I was, again, humbled that he was willing to take time and come on to our podcast and do this with me. And I'm really looking forward to the day that he and I get to meet and hang out and have dinner together. So again, I'm grateful for Brad. So I can't express how thankful I am for all of these folks in our first year. I'm impressed by how much I learned by each one of them. But more than that, I wanted to give people their voice on here. I wanted to learn, but I also wanted the world to see in them what I see in them. And I believe we did that. I believe that everybody that came on here, we were able to dig in and see what kind of people they are, and hear, I guess I should say, and hear their hearts speaking on here, and hear their soul rise up through them. And it's just awesome, man. I've just loved this podcast so much. I want to keep it going. I want to keep doing this for a long time. I want to make sure that we're growing it. I want to make sure that we still have cool guests. I want to make sure that it's being helpful to people who are listening to us. And I want to make sure that it's got some good substance to it, because it shouldn't just be on here talking and just kind of fading away. So thank you to all these folks for taking time out of your busy schedule and for being such kind and great people. I want to say thank you to everybody who's listened to us this year. We've had quite a few downloads. Really exciting to reach these goals, these numbers, to see our rankings on Google, and just to see how it's lining up. And I want to make sure that this thing gets cooler. If it's not cool already, it needs to be cooler. And if it is cool already, then it needs to be cooler. So I just want to make sure that it gets cooler, and we just keep on getting more guests on here, and we keep on getting more content. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope that you guys all have had a great 2023. I hope you're looking forward, and always looking forward to a great 2024, and that you feel good about yourself, and that you're doing great things out there. Like I said in this last episode, before this one, how do we get it to be Christmas all year long? How do we keep people's hearts growing? How do we keep people's hearts open, keep the kindness open, and keep people doing great things for people all year long, and not just at Christmas time? That would be an awesome world to live in. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people who do that, but thank you. Thank you for listening to the WB Download. I don't know who I do know who our next guest is, and I'm working on him, and it's going to be a fun show because he's a great dude. And we've got a really good plan for people set up for 2024. I hope you guys continue to listen, and I hope that people call me up and say, hey, I want to be on the show. I hope people send me some emails and say, hey, you're a moron. You said this, and that's not true. But listen to us on the second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of the month. And if you want to jump out and send me some emails, it's WBDownload at WielandBuilders.com. That's at WIELAND Builders.com. WB Download at WielandBuilders.com, and check out Wieland Builders on WielandBuilders.com. That's WIELAND Builders.com. Check out the houses that we're building. You get to see so many cool things that we get to do, and we enjoy what we do. So again, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, enjoy your life, people, and we will catch you the second week of January 2024. This is Jeff Wieland on WB Download.